hosts and guests exclusively. They do not represent any entity, organization, or municipality.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar, the Jersey Shore #1 lifeguard-themed video podcast.
Watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever streaming service you prefer.
If you would like to contact us, send an email to drkachmar@icloud.com. Follow us on Instagram at lg.association.
All right, let's get started.
Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
She said they're gonna lock you up for killing me tonight. And then I bit her lip just a little bit harder. Well, I was so sure it wasn't real. But she's afraid of ghosts. Now I'm sleeping in her room.
Be a lot of fun. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar. Welcome to Lifeguards Off Duty. Today's date is June 1st, I believe, year of our Lord 2022. And I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar. I'm a board-certified reconstructive foot and ankle surgeon, also a lieutenant on the Seaside Heights Beach Patrol. Today we have Sean.
Hello.
Sean's all by himself. Tyler, I don't know where Tyler is. Anybody know where Tyler is?
Tyler's doing soccer.
So we got Sean, and we got a lot of things to talk about. We just finished up our Memorial Day weekend, which was crazy. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday were beautiful days, and it was really busy and packed. It was a lot to talk about. We didn't get any video. We were just so busy. But there's a couple things I want to go over. And the one thing that really struck me was the amount of marijuana smoke and smoking and consumption on all the boardwalks, all the beaches. And I got reports from my friends who were at campsites. It was out of control with the smell and the pot and the booze. And it was a lot of young kids doing the drugs and the alcohol, and the police are not doing anything, and they can't. So we're going to explore this a little bit. Why? What's the laws in New Jersey, and why is it so crazy? And can it continue on? So let me just give you a little bit of a background. There was a law that you cannot smoke in the beach or public areas, cigarettes, tobacco. You can't use tobacco use or any tobacco products. And most beaches, have that. Whether or not they wrote tickets, but and how much it was enforced, but it was a state ordinance. You can't smoke, and you could be subject to a fine. And with alcohol, you have to be 21 to drink. You can't drink if you're under 21. You can't walk around in public with an alcohol beverage. You can't drive with an open container. The law's against it. And again, you have to be 21 or older. Now they passed a new marijuana law, and they gave it's recreational marijuana. So if you're over 21 and older, you could use marijuana, but only supposedly in your house, and you can possess a certain amount, but only a certain amount. And
Technically, the laws are very similar, but there's a little bit niche stuff where they can't be detained or searched. That's
from the 21.
Yeah.
No, slow down. No. Yes, it's right. Maybe adults too. But what they did is let's start, because it muddies the water. It gets real complicated real quick. Just set the premise. Alcohol and marijuana are almost the same now as far as the law goes. You got to be 21 to consume it legally.
Yes.
If you're under 21, you don't supposed to use it or consume it or possess it. Now follow me now, it's a law. Laws are only good as their enforcement and what your penalties are. Over 21, you're allowed to have it. You can't have it in public. You can't just be walking around with it. You're supposed to use it in your house. It's debatable whether or not you can't smoke in a restaurant, marijuana, even cigarettes.
Smoke while
Driving, all of that. Now, what they did though, also when they passed this law, they carved out young people, anybody under 21. So we're going to put this up here. Let me get this here now, right here. So this is a state law, New Jersey now, and underage, younger than 21. So people on the podcast, we're showing we have our iPad up. So this is possession or consumption of marijuana. New Jersey law prohibits. And that word means not allowed for people who are obtuse. So state law prohibits underage possession and consumption of marijuana, but that word, I hate that but a violation is not considered a criminal act or act of delinquency. Same thing with alcohol, by the way. They don't have it in this writing here, but they're also
under 21 as in
you could drink alcohol. You're not allowed to, but it's not a criminal offense anymore. Officers, cops basically, or anybody, officer of the court, cannot ask an underage person to consent to a search for marijuana, nor can they arrest or detain the person for possession, violation, or crime. So now, that means, unless the cop goes into your house, that means outside, walking around, if you're underage, you could smoke and drink in public with impunity. You could get a warning, but if you're over 21, you can't. Now, in public, or you can. They're quiet on it. So first of all,
would they need to see you actively smoking in order to do anything also?
It doesn't matter. If they see you or don't see you, they can't do anything. So it doesn't matter if they see you or not. Now, look, a person younger than 21 who possesses or consumes 6 ounces or less of cannabis or marijuana will face a series of written warnings issued by police, copy of which will be kept by law enforcement to determine when subsequent violations occur. Written warnings are to go to the underage individual, and for minors younger than 18, their parents or guardian. Good luck on that if you could find them. Those subject to a third or fourth warning will be referred to social service, blah, 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 blah. An officer can also take possession of the marijuana cannabis for the person on a third subsequent. How are you going to know all of this? Here, an underage person who possesses more than 6 ounces of marijuana commits a 4th-degree crime and may be issued a complaint summons. But you can't search them. How are you going to find out?
You need to actively see them holding the marijuana.
So my point is that what I saw in the beaches this weekend was complete breakdown of the system. They were smoking big marijuana joints right on the boardwalk. I hear this was all the beaches, all up and down the coast, every beach, every boardwalk, every campsite. It's out of control. And these are 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, kids.
Yeah, like prom kid season right now.
Cops are not able to touch them. Now, this law, before it was amended, if the officer did call the parents, the officer would get arrested. It was a criminal charge against them.
That's crazy.
Yes, it was. It was. You go look at the original law. You could still Google it and look at it. I know because I was dealing with this, and I was like, what are you kidding me? So now we have a situation in the state of New Jersey where actually the governor, Murphy, added on to this and doubled down and said, not only is it marijuana, it's alcohol, it's hashish and all this other shit. This marijuana is very powerful stuff. And you talk to the pediatricians, they'll tell you that this stuff is whacking their brains. We're encouraging and not stopping 12, 13, 14-year-old kids from smoking. I saw it. I saw it myself. And to a lot of these kids, it's a gateway drug to heavier drugs. I don't care what you say. So now we're in this state where we've gone crazy. And these kids, you got to remember.
I think most people can agree young kids should not be doing too many drugs. We're still on the scene of the iPad.
Hang on, sorry about
You're good. But yeah, like there was more smoke on the beach, and since I've ever worked on the beach in one weekend, it was crazy.
Now on that iPad, go to notes.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, go where it says notes, and just go to notes, and on the side there's one about marijuana. Look down and go right on your left side there. Go there. There's one that says secondhand smoke. Just keep going. Yeah, secondhand smoke. Let me show you something. So just talk about this now, Sean. So there's an article here. I just want to make a point about secondhand smoke. Hang on a second. Let me get this here. So where's the second here? Now, we know that secondhand cigarette smoke causes cancer. That's one of the reasons why they outlawed smoking regular cigarettes on the beach and public places. There's secondhand smoke, and it can be dangerous. Well, marijuana has the same friggin' carcinogens. Why are we allowing marijuana to be smoking out in the streets? Little kids are gonna, secondary. I got to smell it all day. It's not right. So if you look here, this article is pretty interesting. Known risk of secondhand exposure to tobacco smoke, including risk to the heart and lungs, raised questions whether secondhand exposure to marijuana smoke causes similar health risks. Secondhand marijuana smoke contains many of the same toxic and cancer-causing chemicals found in tobacco smoke and certain type of these chemicals in higher amounts. So you have the state of New Jersey sued the tobacco companies. They get money for every cigarette that's sold. They get money that goes into the tobacco fund to fund the bonds for the lawsuit to take care and help pay for people who get sick. So we're legalizing marijuana. We're not only legalizing, we decriminalize it. We're letting kids do it. We're not stopping the children. It should be a crime. In other words, and now we know that this stuff is probably going to cause cancer in these kids, hurt these kids. What are we friggin' doing? Why are we allowing children? You're not gonna. If you tell a kid, like when I was going to school, it was marijuana and booze. One of the reasons I experimented with marijuana. I did it once or twice. One of the reasons I didn't do it, I didn't like it, but also it was against the law. I wanted to be, get a job one day.
And now it's legal.
I wouldn't have done it. When I was 12, 13, 14, 15, if the shit's legal and nobody's going to say anything, I can tell you right now, I'd probably do more of it. Or a lot of people are going to do more of it.
Which is what's happening.
What's going to happen? How many of those kids are going to get in a car accident? How many kids are going to be, psychologically screwed up? I mean, this stuff is, and cancers, lung disease, all of that. On top of that, and we don't know what's going to happen. It's a gateway drug. Last year, April 21 to April 22, 110,000 people OD'd in this country. Suicides between 10 and 18 are jumping up. A lot of stuff has to do with that. So, and again, the secondhand smoke, I just wanted to bring that up. I don't want to have to smell it. People on the beach and the campground. My office manager, one of the girls in my office went every weekend. They go to RV center. They have an RV, campsite. She said it was brutal. There was so much pot. And it's young kids. And then these kids are friggin' belligerent. They're running around like idiots.
Yeah. On cloud nine.
On cloud nine, So this is what we have. So I don't know what the answer is. I should say I know what the answer is. You can't let these kids do it. You got to put a kibosh. Smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, you're not in public.
The logic behind not allowing citations or fines for children that do smoke or are caught smoking is crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'll tell you what I read. Supposedly the law was made because in the inner cities, the cops were targeting the minorities for smoking pot. This is what the argument is. So now they didn't want to do that. So now they're gonna leave the kids, let them alone. Or they say you can't go after anybody. I don't know. To me, I think I saw white, black, look rich, poor. Everybody was doing it. You give a kid, the keys to the kingdom. That's like giving a kid, say, okay, you got the keys to the candy shop. You can eat as much candy as you want. I don't think it's a smart move. I don't know if Governor Murphy knows how bad it was this weekend. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I'm a doctor. I'm telling you, dude, if you hear our cast here, you got to pull the plug. The town's got to pull the plug. The mayors, if the governor's not going to do it, the mayors have to do it. You got to enforce non-smoking. You can't have this stuff wild. And the thing is, what are you going to do if they do it? You got to give them tickets. You got to lock them up. I don't care if they're 12, 13, 14. You can't let these kids do it. I mean, they're stoned. They're on the boardwalk with stogies. Like, it remind me of Cheech and Chong movie. Yeah. We were walking out of the headquarters, and they were, they were blocking my way. I couldn't even go down. The guy was lighting up a big friggin' stogie. Right in broad daylight, and the cops aren't doing shit because they can't.
You ever watch the Cheech and Chong movies, Kachmar?
Oh, I watched them all.
Yeah?
Watched them all.
I think I've only seen one of them, Up in Smoke.
Yeah. Well, we had one kid. I'll tell you the story. I did it on my other show. So I got called down. There was two kids on the beach. They came down without bands, and
This
they didn't pay.
This weekend?
Yeah. And I was told to ask them to get off the beach. So I walked down there, and I always ask how old you are, you know. I said, how old are you guys? And he said 15, you know, they're two 15-year-old kids. And, I could see they were impaired. So I said, you guys got to walk up here. And they gave me a little bit, you know, snotty attitude. But, you know, they were two skinny kids, 15 years old. And so they started walking. And as they're walking in front of me, we're going up the ramp. And I noticed the one kid, he's got white socks on, but he only has one sandal on. He didn't have flip. It's just one sandal on his one foot. Yeah. And I said, hey, what happened to your other sandal? And he's like, huh? And he looks down and he goes, oh, wow, man. I didn't know. I don't know. He didn't even know he only had one sandal.
That is right out of Cheech and Chong.
I'm like, he's a 15-year-old kid and he's stoned out of his mind. I said, I don't think it's good. I mean, listen, here's the thing. You know, we all experimented. Kids were drinking. They're going to do it. We've always had kids on the beach. But when we got them and they were out of hand, we'd get the beer from them, the alcohol. If they're really drunk, we call the parents. Let me give you another scenario here, you know, with this law. Forget about marijuana because they put on to booze.
Yeah.
All right, you got a kid coming from, say, North Cardwell, Bayonne, Jersey City, wherever, anything. He's 17 years old. He gets a bunch of his friends. Some are 16, maybe some 15. I don't know. They get some booze. They take it from their parents' house, whatever. They come down to the beach. They're drinking all the way down. They get to the beach. They're stinking drunk. And we've seen this multiple times. Every beach. Normally what we do is we get the cops. The cops would call their parents. We're not going to let them drive. And if they're really intoxicated, they're going to be arrested and go to the hospital. It's a medical thing. Now we can't even touch them. We can't say, you know, boo to them. Now, do you really want us to let your children drive back home like that?
Yeah. No, I mean, no, but like that's a problem.
I mean, you know, I'm an adult. It kills me, you know, as a parent. I mean, these kids don't know what they're doing. And we're now because of politics, I'm sorry, get rid of this. How do I get rid of it? Because of politics, you know, they're doing this shit. It's crazy. I think it's an agenda, but you asked me why. I think it has to do with, you know, the political correctness, the race, you know, the trying to be accommodative, and you know, this state. I think they want to turn into California.
Oh no.
I know. It's just, you know, it's crazy. So that's the premise of what we saw. You want to add anything to that? Because, you know, we talked about it on my last show, and I think medically it's a very bad thing.
It's definitely has to be something to do with the money aspect of the taxation that they get on the these dispensaries and farms where the Garden State, you know.
Now listen, Chris Christie is in back of this. A lot of lawyers. You know, the licenses cost a lot of money. These guys are going to make millions.
So much.
Millions and tens of millions. You know what?
Off the kids.
And if it's a lot of inner city kids, I don't think they give a shit. I really don't think they care.
Yeah.
It's sad because I see it, and these kids are going to hurt themselves. They're going to, you know, they talk about being in a cycle of poverty. I mean, you know, I don't. Maybe you could accelerate and do drugs and be smart and all of that. And I know there's some people, but I can tell you, most of the people I know that do chronic drugs, you know, marijuana, they're a little bit off. You know, they get, and I just had a guy, 40 years old. He smokes every day, 3-4 times a day. He just had a heart attack, and he's like in his 40s. And he asked the doctor, and it's like, you know, he says, I see more and more, you know, cardiovascular disease with the marijuana. You know, and they vape it. That ain't good for him either. So.
Oh, the vapes can't be good for you at all. Like the Chinese made chemicals in
no. It's the metal too. It's the wire.
Plastics.
So anyway, we had a crazy busy week. So unfortunately, a lot of the beach patrols left Tuesday. Now today's Wednesday. I was up on the beach. You worked yesterday, right?
Yep.
And we got to get rid of this. Yeah, I got to get rid of this. Sorry about that.
You're good.
And let's put this thing back on. Can we, let me shut this off. Sorry about that. It's probably Ava calling me. And
there was a rescue and assumed drowning at this point.
Let me get this here. Hang on, I'll pull it up for you. Here's your iPad. So you want to go through this, Sean, while I'm...
I was just going to play the video and talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
There were 4 victims that were in distress. The fire department, we believe, had an ocean rescue team and some lifeguards who were doing maintenance, which we're assuming is they were setting up for the season to come.
Right.
help. So they got 3 of the 4 victims, but one is still missing. One of the victims, when he got back to the beach, was telling and asking about their friend that they wasn't on the beach with them, and they don't know what happened.
Really?
They were searching for hours. The lifeguards that were there were getting gas cans to the jet skis and the trucks so they could keep patrolling the beach and find everything.
Right.
But we don't know what happened to the person.
Yeah, it was in Wildwood, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. See, that's what happens. You know, it was 90 degrees that day, and no lifeguards were there, and then that was it. You know, it happens. You know, they might have had some bad water. That's terrible. You know, so is that the first drowning? I'm trying to think this season.
There was an off-duty in New Jersey. There was an off-duty Ocean Grove rescue, but that was successful. But I think they were just on the beach preseason.
Are you going to try to play the video, or
I did. Try to get it back up. It keeps loading.
Try it again if you could get it. Let's see. Can't get it. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give it a second.
Yeah, we have technical difficulties. So for people on our podcast, they should watch this. Yeah, it's sad. Is the volume up on that? Hang on.
Swimmers in distress. We're told 4 people needed help. 3 of those people were rescued, but one of the swimmers, we're told a man around 20 years old, is still missing. We're told the Coast Guard chopper suspended its search last night, but its boat continued to search for that missing man a while longer. This morning, we are still awaiting updates from officials down the shore. At last check, though, that man was still missing. Now, this group may have been caught in a rip current, so officials are reminding swimmers to never swim against that current. Always swim parallel to the shore, and that way you can then make your way back to the shore once the rip spits you out.
How about don't go in, darling, without lifeguards?
Are reminding people not to swim in the ocean when the beaches don't have lifeguards on them.
There you go. She must have heard me.
The beaches aren't fully staffed until mid-June. We're reporting live. Jane Carabeo, CBS 3.
Well, you know, what happens there is that
Just gotta wait till something happens.
well, you know, the water was really cold.
Yeah, sub 60s, they said.
Yeah, I took the temperature Monday. It was 56. We went in. It was cold. Oh man, we did ins and outs. You know, we did a little workout, and it just hurt you so bad. And by the end of the day, though, it was low tide. It was in the afternoon, so people go on a sandbar. And what happens is if you stay in the sandbar and you're up to your knees, your waist, you know, you hang out there for a half an hour, and then you got to come back in the gullies, which is like a depression from between the sandbar and the beach. You go in that, and it gets real deep because it got deeper while you were out there, and it's really cold, and you struggle, and you could drown right there. I don't know how much riptides there were because the ocean was really calm by Tuesday. Yeah. I was up there. And you were up there, right? Weren't you? It was thick. I mean, the water. I mean, I don't know how it was in the afternoon, but I don't think it was that bad. You know, it wasn't that much wave action.
Yeah, it really just depends on the topography of where they were swimming.
Yeah, I don't know how it is down there, but I think the ocean, the waves. I mean, Friday and Saturday was juiced up, man. But
yeah, we had a lot of people. We had. I don't think we had an actual rescue the weekend, but we had some people that needed help that we got in.
Yeah.
Close to the water line.
Yeah, they were in the gully. They were little ones. You know, it was mostly
kids.
People probably, you know, intoxicated and then the cold, and you know they weren't anything. You know, it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't really super bad water.
Yeah, no, not at all.
You know, and it was just more stoned out of their mind, drunk, and just big volume. You know, huge. I mean, it was one of the biggest volumes I've ever seen.
And our beach feels like it got a little smaller with the
yeah.
So I think the bigger the crowds are going to be as the season goes, it's going to feel even smaller and smaller with the erosion.
Yeah. What let's see. So there was something else we wanted to talk about that, and I'm gonna have a video clip coming up. So people want to see it. It's I did a trip down to BVI.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. Let me a couple of things I want to talk about that. But also I did. We have an AB rib, which is like the Coast Guard uses. I have one here, and I did some maintenance on it. So I'm going to throw a video out that if anybody wants to see how to change oil and everything on our equipment. And then we're going to do one on the boat. But I went down to the British Virgin Islands. I worked down there for 10 years. I did vascular surgery. I got a lot of friends down there who are lifeguards, and that's a whole unique scenario down there. But it was really good. We sailed on a boat. All my friends have boats down there. It's a 62-foot catamaran.
Are they associated with the USLA down
No,
there?
no. The USLA is just United States.
Yeah.
You actually have you have International Lifeguard Association. You also have a lot of countries have their own thing. There's a lot of lifeguards. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of lifeguards. South America, all along the coast. You got England. My buddy down there, I'm trying to get him on the show. He was trained and lifeguard in England for many years. I don't know where on the coast. Maybe France. I mean, Normandy.
It's got to be cold water.
It's cold water, yeah. But a lot of times they wear wetsuits. Australia, they got their own deal. There's a lot of lifeguards. We're getting more and more people who are watching us from different parts of the world, and I think they all have one thing in common. We try to make rescues. But down there, it's a different thing. They'll get some big swell. So you have the windward part of the island, which faces pretty much the Atlantic Ocean, and you get swell and wind. And then you got the leeward side, which is kind of where the land blocks the wind. Yeah. And so it's more calmer beaches. The area there's one called Just Highest Bay, and I've been there. I mean, there's days it's double head high, waves. Yeah. So 12 foot, 10 foot. The thing about the waves down there, the sand doesn't change because it's more coral. You get some movement of the sand. Like our beaches, first of all, we have about 10 to 12 foot tidal change. Down there, it's maybe a foot. All right. So that's number one. So the tidal change is not very much. About a foot.
That's so strange. Like, as someone that doesn't see that often.
Yeah. It has a lot to do with where the ocean is, the part of the world, relationship to the moon. But we get, 10 to 12 foot. So that in 6 hour period, that's huge. That's the water dynamics change tremendously from the standpoint of lifeguarding. Also, like in Seaside where we are, the beach, the sand fills in, moves. I mean, it could be daily. Sometimes it's the whole season. But other times it's dramatic. Now it's going to start to build. We'll get about 30, 40 yards of new beach. It breaks down in the winter. It builds up in the summer. It could be shifting. If we get a northeast storm, everything could change. I mean, you could get a whole block of a sandbar that moves. You know that. Yeah. Down here, it's more stable because there's still patches of sand, but there's a lot of coral. And so it's very stable.
Yeah, like keeps it in like a jetty or
yeah.
Used to.
It's a lot more easy to deal with. And the other thing is the water's warmer, and the warmer water, you get bigger waves. Colder water is heavier, and you get smaller waves. But I've been in head not double head, but head high waves, and take a board out, and it's not like they don't have that strength like the waves that we get. They're not like hurricane waves either. Down when we get hurricane waves in New Jersey, they could be a 2 foot, 3 foot hurricane wave, and that'll rip the crap out of you. Very powerful and thick. Down there, a head height wave, it's just blows right past you, go right through it. It's not as powerful. So it's a little different. Most of their stuff is reactive. They don't have lifeguards all over the place. So when they got something, they go to it. But they put a lot of signs.
And trucks
and
stuff.
They only guard a few beaches. And I don't even know if, I think they're still there. I don't know. I was down there. I didn't talk to anybody. They go back and forth whether or not it's worth to pay the people. A lot of the places, like the resorts, have their own, kind of lifeguards. Stuff. Yeah. And, but like everybody down there, they're sailing, they're on their boats. They're pretty good swimmers.
Yeah, so how was the trip you made? On the catamaran?
Oh, it's great. We sailed for, we were there for a week. We sailed. We got there. We went over to a place called Cane Garden Bay, which is beautiful. And we anchor up on the beach. You can go to dinner you take the dinghy in.
Yeah, what's the food like down there?
Good. It's
it's not like tacos, but what is it?
No, it's everything. It's the United States. It's right next to British Virgin Islands, right next to U.S. Virgin Islands, 90 miles east of Puerto Rico. It's Americanized, I mean, it's Same shit, hamburgers, they have spicy stuff, but mostly. Well, I tell you what's unique. You go over to Anegada Island, and they got the Anegada lobster out there. I mean, there's some local restaurants. I like it. When I worked there, I used to I stayed in town. There's a place called Maria's by the Sea, and at Friday nights, people, locals would come out and they would get their cars and they would have like little grills, and they would open up little shops, like little on the street. If there's a vacant lot, vendors. And you walk around and you get this fish, and oh my God, the food is so good. And there was this, one of those, what do they call them? Like buses, food bus. And there's this, they were permanent there, but this guy would cook up ribs and chicken and like the best you ever had. I had friends come down, like Fleet Bears came down, one of our ex-lifeguards, former lifeguards. And, it's just like he says, I've never had ribs taste so good. I mean, these guys cook it for like hours, and so it's really good. The food's really good. And so what you do is, so we went there and stayed at that beach, and then the next day we sailed over to another beach called White Bay. We stayed there Saturday and Sunday, and we anchored up right near the beach. There's a whole bunch of beach bars, and other boats come there, and we put these big rafts in the back of the boat. We float around, we have drinks, the music's playing. It's like really good. The water's so nice. My favorite thing down there, Sean, is this. The water's probably like, 80 degrees or whatever, 82, 80. I didn't check the temperature. But during the day, the sun heats it up, and it gets really warm. Mm-hmm. And then the end of the day, the sun goes down. As it's going down, the air gets a little cooler. And that's the best time to go in the water. We all do it. Everybody goes into the water. You have a couple of cocktails, and it feels like a jacuzzi. The water's so warm. Now remember, sunset and sunrise, 6:30. Like right now, we're gonna have sunset like at 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. You go down right now to British Virgin Islands, it's 6:30. It's done. It's dark. It's getting, sun's going down at 6:30 because it's closer to the equator. But the best, I love that, and I miss that so much. So we'll all kind of hang out. After the day, we get back to the boat, and then you go back in the water again. You have some drinks just before you take a shower, and it just feels so warm. The water's so warm. It's soft. The air's a little bit, getting a little cold. It's still probably like 76, 75, whatever the air.
It's cooled down just enough.
Just the water feels warm.
Yeah.
And you have some cocktails, and then it gets dark, just before it's totally dark. As the sun goes down, right around there, you got like another half hour light, and you get out of the water, you shower up, you go in your cabin. The cabins are all air conditioning, like 5-star hotels. Shower up and everything, and then we either have dinner on the boat or we get in the dinghy and we go to land and we have dinner. And it's a lot of fun. It's all, and we had just
awesome.
It's absolutely beautiful weather. And then we went. So after that, we went to a place called Sandy Spit. It's like a little island. We just stopped there and had lunch, anchored up, had some lunch. And then we shot all the way out to the North Shore, and a place. Well, we were going to go there. We went through there. We actually slingshot. There's a big place, North Shore, a place called Saba Rock.
Now,
then we had the Anegada.
Are you not helping people charter when you do this, or are you just doing
No.
on the trip with them? Just
No.
vacationing?
My buddy and his wife, they do charters. It's like $45,000 for the week.
Yeah.
But they were off charter, and so this is the end of the season. And
you were just hanging out.
Yeah, it was his birthday. Mm-hmm. So we went down for his birthday. He's like my brother. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Alex. And they run the boat called Bagheera. If anybody wants to rent it out, it's unbelievable. And
shout out Bagheera.
Yeah, we went down. So they rented out, and there was a bunch of other friends. There's a place on Norman Island. And Norman Island has this big bay. It's called the Bight. And there's an anchorage for about 500 boats, 400 boats, and there's this big ship there. It's anchored. It's about 100 feet. It's a restaurant bar. It's called the Willie T. It's been there for years. It's world famous. People know about it. You jump off the top, at night. Evidently, supposedly if you jump off topless, you get a free drink. I don't know if you're a man, you get a free drink, but I know if you're a girl, you jump
That's
off.
Sexist.
Yeah, I know. And so we had the owner of that and his daughter. He's an older guy. He's actually older than me. So he was great. He was there. Another friend of ours who owns a restaurant and they supply alcohol to the yachts. Mm-hmm. His wife runs the brokerage firm for all charters. And then we had another friend who has about 150 contracts with all the mega yachts there, because there's hundreds of them there, and they do charters. And this guy, while they're at a charter, if the generator blows up or something happens, he does all the maintenance, so keeps the charter going. So and there was a couple other people. So everybody came on the boat. We had a party. It was great. Some people stayed over, and so it was a blast. So it was mostly all locals, and But I've helped him take the boat to Grenada multiple times. For the hurricane. Now they were going to go to St. Martin. I could have stayed and went with them, but I had to come back and work.
There's a hurricane right now, isn't there? Somewhere
in Mexico, right there. The season starts. It's funny. It's this hurricane right now. Hurricane season, typically starts the 1st of June.
So
ends, I think, October, November. November.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful right now. I mean, it's relatively safe. He's doing charters down south. They got another couple charters in Tortola. June and July are pretty good. Even August. I mean, everything's relative. But down the Caribbean, you really want to watch out for October. September and October are the worst. September, I wouldn't want to be down there, man. That's a dangerous time.
If this hurricane's in Mexico right now, how long do you think until it gets to like Jersey?
Well, it's going to die out.
Yeah.
But, well, it depends. It depends. It may not. It might just go right out. Weather patterns go from west to east. So I know sometimes they go north, they go northeast, but that's pretty low down. I think it's in the peninsula there, Nicaragua, in that area.
Yeah, but there'll be some little isolated storm.
It may build up again. It might go into the Gulf Coast and regenerate. A lot of times this time of year, the hurricanes start right off our coast, off the coast of South Carolina or down the Gulf, and the ones that start to come off of the African coast. So when we were down there, right? Talk about that. We flew in. This was we flew in last week to British Virgin Islands, and it was hazy, like a yellow haze. And then the next day it was yellow haze, and you think it's pollen, like this yellow powder all over the place. It's kind of like yellowish dark.
Sounds like pollen.
It's the Sahara winds. So the Sahara Desert, which is huge, the winds blow. So during the winter,
I've heard about this across the Atlantic, right?
Right. During the winter, the storms and the air and the wind come from north, United States, and it blows down. So the cold fronts come down from Alaska, North New Jersey, central Chicago area, come all the way down, hit Florida, and some of that gets down into the Caribbean. It never gets that cold down there, maybe 70 degrees at night, but that brings the storms, the swell. Right around now, May and June, the wind changes and it starts to blow so that's northeast wind. Now the wind starts to blow from the southeast, coming from the Sahara African desert. The main flow of that hits the Amazon jungle. The Amazon jungle would not exist if it wasn't for the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert, what is that sand and what is that stuff? That's all dead sea life. And it's a lot of nutrients. So
that's great. Yeah,
that feeds the Amazon jungle. It would never be there if it wasn't for the Sahara Desert.
It's all ocean, Kachmar. It's always ocean.
So it blows it across, and Tortola still gets it. So it was the one day was really hazy. It looked weird, and the dust gets all over the place. But then it cleared up. The wind went a little bit northeast again, and so it kind of blew it back. It happens in June. When I worked down there, when I first saw it, I was
but there's a layer of sand and sediment that makes it across the Atlantic. That's crazy.
Oh, big. I mean, we get a little bit of it. Tortola, South America gets a ton of it. You got to remember, Tortola is, if you go straight across where we are, where I'm just trying to remember what parallel we are, but we're closer to Central America. We're out there, but that parallel. So most of the Sahara is further south, and it comes across and it hits the, like I said, the Amazon jungle. It's pretty wild. So that happened there. The water was warm. I'm trying to think what else, any other things that were pretty, wild. It's just so beautiful down there. It's one of the best places in the world to sail. It really is.
Yeah.
So, it's really nice.
I was looking at on Instagram this weekend because everyone's been, people post Memorial Day posts for soldiers and everything. There's this this documentary that came out, I think like 4 years ago, called Back to Ocean Beach, which is Back to China Beach, which is it's about a surf club for Vietnam soldiers in Vietnam, the Vietnam War.
Right.
It's all, and like there's like all these black and white photos from this documentary that are surfacing about like just the soldiers with like the hats on, like they look like from Apocalypse Now with surfboards and stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is just about how it was like a great escape for them, and like now for some it was a outlet to deal with PTSD.
Yeah. Well, that was Memorial Weekend. Memorial Day was to celebrate the war dead.
Yeah.
And I was just down in Washington D.C. I took the granddaughter to the grave of the unknown soldier, which is an amazing story. There's a couple books that just came out. And it's if anybody wants to really look into it, it's really amazing.
I was at DC. What is that? What does the statue look like? Well,
it's a tomb. It's in Arlington National Cemetery, and when they first did it, was World War I. They commemorated this tomb of the unknown soldier, and it was.
Is that the one with the flame?
Yeah, no, that flame is JFK.
Yeah.
But the unknown soldier, they put it in the best spot in. There's a whole history, but what happened was though. It was never guarded, and people actually desecrated it. Tyler says, "You guys sound like the long weekend has you dusted." Yeah,
you
I'm
were
tired.
there, yeah.
I'm
rough.
beat, man. I've been going. At the weekend, I just worked 2 days in a row on seeing patients. But getting back to the hey Tyler, how you doing?
Yeah.
And getting back to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, they actually have guards there now, and they guard 24 hours a day. Rain, snow, hurricane, doesn't matter. And I got video. We're going to post that. I have that whole thing. We're going to post it.
Yeah, is that the one with the stairs and like the flat ground with the guy marching around?
Yeah. They have the change in the guard is amazing. And they have a whole thing. I'm going to post it next. We'll have it next week so people could watch it. And I have a whole thing of them doing a change in the guard. It's very impressive.
What I remember from DC is that whole area is the Vietnam, I believe, the black granite wall.
Yeah, memorial.
And just all the names and how long and this black piece of stone. It was just very dark.
Yeah. They say it's one of the most visited monuments. There's the Korean, there's the Second World War, there's the First World War, the Vietnam Memorial. And it's funny. I was walking there, and everyone who's died there was about 20 years old. It's like 20. They talk about it. A lot of people put their pictures and stuff like that. But getting back to the China Beach and all of that, about the soldiers, and a lot of soldiers, commented how beautiful like Vietnam and World War II. My uncles all fought in the Pacific. But they were on ships, but they had shore leave, and some of the places they went were just absolutely beautiful. And that's the only time they ever been there. It's kind of funny. And I think that Vietnam, a very beautiful place. So I could see people reminiscing about it. But it was a very terrible thing. But this weekend was for the war dead, and I strongly recommend if anybody hasn't been to Washington D.C., you go there and you check out the Arlington National Cemetery. It's about 400,000 people, men mostly, but women too, who served and died. You think about, we talk about all this, stuff about the Constitution, gun rights, abortion. We fight each other over it, but we live in a place that is very unique, and a lot of people gave their lives for what we have now.
The freedoms that we have.
Oh yeah, and that's what they knew that that they were doing. So I think that a lot of people should respect that, especially this past weekend. That's why I think this the way we're going in this country is kind of crazy with all this marijuana and stuff. But let's just talk about a little lifeguard. We talked about the drowning, which is serious, sad. Before we left, the last show we did while we were doing it, an 18-year-old kid died in a hole.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is it was this couple, mother and father, son and daughter, and they came down. They were on a beach north of La Valette, and they had Frisbees, and they dug a hole 10 feet deep, 12 feet deep, and it collapsed on him, and she was up on top of him. I guess she was getting on his shoulders to get out of the hole. She probably caved it in while she was doing it, which is, another whole story. I'm just assuming that. But it's a tragedy, and my heart goes out for the family.
I think he was in a Christian rock band when I was looking up stuff about it.
Yeah, I heard they were devout Christians.
Yeah.
You know, it just kills me. And you know, you say, why does God do things like that? I don't know. You know, but I could tell you, it's a sad case. And then, so we were all hyper about holes. And this weekend, I drove around and you know, I uncovered. There was people digging holes, and there was one. I went up and there's this lady in a lounge chair, and she's right next to this hole, and the hole is about 4 foot, maybe almost 4.5 foot. I jumped into it. I called the lifeguards. I don't know. I forget who was on the stand, and I couldn't get out of it. I had, you know, I could have crawled out, but the lifeguard came and I gave him my hand. He pulled me up. That's how deep it was. Yeah. And a little kid could have easily suffocated in there, especially if they're bending down and it collapses. We don't let holes. Most beaches, I think, you could dig a hole, but no more deeper than your knees. I seen a couple holes that people hollowed it out, and then they lay in it. They put an umbrella, and they kind of get like a windbreak, you know. There
was this one time Tyler was doing our equipment for the end of the day,
yeah,
and was like whistling to me to get my attention. He was like, I was on a stand, and he was on a pier or by the pier, which is like, you know, 100 yards away or whatever. So I was trying to figure out what he was like on about. Nobody was near him or anything. He grabs, because he was collecting our red flags, our designated no swimming flags. And they're like 12 feet tall. They're huge. He grabbed one of them and threw it into this hole that I couldn't see from like how far I was.
Yeah.
And the flag disappeared. How deep the hole these people somehow made.
Yeah.
And like from the lifeguard stand, like that 12 feet height of the stand, and you know I could not see this flag. It was crazy. It's
amazing how fast they could dig a hole. I remember one a couple of years ago, wasn't that long ago. The kids dug one hole about 4 or 5 feet deep, and then about 10 feet away they dug another hole 4 or 5 feet, 5 feet deep.
Try to connect it.
And they try to connect it. And I just got there when they were starting to burrow the hole to connect it. Thank God first of all, thank God I found it. And then, see what happens in a lot of beaches, and our beach is no different. We get so much volume that even if you can't, like, you have to walk around. You can't. I mean, it's like the beach is wide. It's wall to wall people.
We call it the umbrella jungle.
And you can't even see inside. It's like looking in the bushes. Like it's hard. And I drive on the water edge. I drive in the back. I walk around, but you just can't. You're busy with other stuff. And we try to tell people, don't dig a hole. And you think it's an innocuous, not that big of a deal, and it really, people die in it, especially a little kid. And also people fall down, they break their arms, the kids people leave the hole unattended and they go somewhere,
Someone runs into it, something happens.
Yeah. Well, and they're high as a kite, so. Well, I'm trying to think what other things, other than it was a lot of volume. The water wasn't that bad. It was very cold. It was 56 degrees. It was kind of rough. It was some great waves, but it was cold. And looks like we're going to have a lot of sandbars, so it could be a dangerous summer as far as how the water is. But we're going to recommend that, like that kid who drowned in, or the person who presumably drowned in Wildwood, the girl, the announcer, news announcer, made a good point. Don't swim without lifeguards.
Yeah,
it's you never know. It's too dangerous. It's not like a pool, and most people who drown when there's no lifeguards.
And it's not even like a you thing, how good of a swimmer you are. It's
No.
just, it's an ocean thing. It's how, whatever is happening with the tides or the sandbar or anything, like, if it's time, the ocean's going to do it.
It was, I was swimming. So Sunday I did a bunch of ins and outs with some of the lifeguards. And we, dove in, 5 strokes, came in. It was so cold. It was 56. After we were done, I was like, I could feel, I was like, feel weird, You start going into hypothermia. And so you're out in a sandbar. And what happens is you get a gully. So, you got the sandbar and then the, there's a dip and then the beach. And you get out there, you could be, 20, 30 years old. You're out there, it goes to your waist, your chest, it goes down to your legs. So you stay kind of warm, but the water's cold. It's taking a toll on you. And then as low tide, high tide was like 8, 9, depends on what day it was. I think Saturday, let me see, Sunday, I think it was 8. Monday, it was 9 in the morning, high tide. That means, 6 hours later, it was low tide, so 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then if you're out there 1, 2, 3 o'clock, this tide starts coming in, so 3, 4 o'clock, you're out there for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then you start coming in. The gullies got deeper. You're kind of hypothermic. You hit that cold water. Now you're up to your face, and you can't move anymore. They did studies where they actually took people, Division I or Olympic swimmers, and it was in a lake. In the lake, I don't know, it was maybe 35 degrees, and I watched them. They put the one girl. They took her out maybe 10 yards out. That's all, and they put her in the water, and she couldn't even make it. When she got to the beach, she was crawling. I mean, this is an Olympic swimmer.
Just how much the cold water affects the body.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how it impairs you, how quick.
All the blood vessels constrict.
It lowers your heart rate.
Yeah. And
then but your respiratory, you start breathing hard. And what happens a lot of times is most people, they think they don't. Most people in cold water drown before they freeze to death. What happens is you get so tired, your muscles go, and then you get some water in your mouth, you gag, you go into a laryngospasm, and you just suffocate. If you could get past the first 2-3 minutes, and kind of you could survive quite a long time. But some people say, the water when it's 50s, you might have a half hour. Everybody's different. Yeah. So it's pretty wild. So you got to be careful with the cold water. People don't realize that. I bet that's what happened down in Cape May. It was more I don't know if it was so much a ripped current as much as the water was cold.
And they were just panicking and.
You pass out, especially if you have some booze on board or pot. That's another thing. All my rescues, the worst rescues I ever had, were people who were drunk or high. So that's another whole reason. But anyway, it was a good weekend. I think that we talked about the pot was a big thing. Holes are another thing that we're concerned about. Going forward, there's going to be spotty lifeguard coverage until 4th of July. So if it's going to be nice weather and the water's going to get warm, please do not swim without lifeguard. Find out. It's easy to find out who has lifeguards. Seaside Heights, we're on full time now. We have lifeguards. I think Belmar maybe. I don't know about State Park, but you could call up.
Is State Park free this year?
Yeah, State Park is free. Free.
That's
free.
crazy.
Right, yeah. But they limit how many people go in there. So, like a lady was telling me, come up to me, she goes, "Why is the state park closed?" I go, "It's not really closed. It just filled up, and they close it
until the people leave.
Until they leave."
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if they start reopening it after a certain amount of time. I don't know that. But they may. But then again, too, if they get public transportation, I don't know what's going to happen. That place is going to be crazy.
It's going to be a zoo.
I mean, they're probably going to have capacity every day.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Chip Bruce back in and talk about
it. Yeah, we do. We used to have, in Seaside Heights, we used to have free beach day.
Wednesdays, I think it was.
Wednesdays and Thursdays. And the reason why it was free is the Coca-Cola would sponsor fireworks on Wednesday. And Wednesdays used to be packed because it was free. And tons of family, but they would bring down tons of booze. When it was free, we didn't have anybody checking the coolers. So it'll be, Wednesdays were brutal. You didn't want to work on a Wednesday because there's so much alcohol, people coming down, and it would be like 1 million people. And it was crazy. It was some crazy days. So it was good. Yeah, State Park's free, but everybody should find out, where you could go. And everything should start to come out. Hopefully.
Yeah, all the guards are excited to be back at all the beach patrols. I'm sure. Like we're trying to watch the water for you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have some videos. We're gonna start videoing our some of our lifeguard stuff. Hopefully, we'll have some good videos. You can start watching that. They'll be posting. I'm gonna post, like I said, 2 this week. But really, that's about it, right, Sean?
Yeah.
I'm kind of beat. I had a long.
Yeah, we're not used to the sun yet. Like I'm.
No, I'm tired. And then. I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then Tuesday I had hours all day, and today I had hours, and I had to do hospital rounds, so I'm kind of beat. So what do we want to say going by? Anything you want to add? Got a little music here.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. You could go to my email, which is drkachmar. So that's drkachmar at icloud.com. Give us a message. Send us an email. Tell us what you think, what you want. If you want to, come on our show, We have a webpage, which is called JerseyShoreFootandLegCenter.com. We're waiting for our T-shirts. We got 5 different Lifeguards off-duty shirts that we're going to start having.
Let's go.
And let me see. What's the Instagram?
LG.association.
LG.association. And again, I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar, board-certified reconstructive foot and ankle surgeon. You've been listening to Lifeguards Off-Duty. We're on Spotify. We're on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube,
Everywhere
Rumble.
there's podcasts. We're the only podcast on the internet. Listen to us.
Yes, listen to us. And subscribe and share. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
Stay out.
And stay alive.
Hey.
Stay out and